Rain fell softly over Surulere that Sunday morning. The kind of rain that muffled sounds, as if Lagos itself were holding its breath. Inside the Holy Covenant Assembly, the choir waited. Their voices, usually alive with praise, now trembled with unease. The service was late, almost 30 minutes late. Reverend Matthew Aini, the man they called the Saint of Surulere, had never missed a sermon in 23 years. At exactly 9:47 a.m., church elder Samuel Naji walked toward the Reverend's office. He knocked gently. No response. He knocked again, harder this time. When the door creaked open, Samuel froze. Reverend Aini was slumped backward supine across his mahogany desk, a single gunshot wound piercing his chest. His white cassock, embroidered with gold thread, was stained crimson. A Bible lay open before him, Psalm 23, and a single brass bullet casing rested beside it, gleaming in the dim light. The Saint of Surulere was dead. Detective Femi Aluko arrived an hour later. The rain had turned the church courtyard into a shallow lake of mud and reflections. He stepped over police tape and into the Reverend's office, his nose catching the faint smell of gunpowder and incense. It didn't look like a robbery. The safe under the desk was untouched. The Reverend's wristwatch, a gold Rolex, still ticked softly on his arm. But when an officer pulled open the top drawer, something caught Femi's eye. A small brown leather notebook, aged and bound with a string. Inside were names, dozens of them, written in neat, deliberate handwriting. Next to each name, numbers, some in naira, others in dollars, dates stretching back over 10 years. At first glance, it looked like church donations, but one name stood out. San E.I. $12,000, November 2016, and below it another G.D. 4 million Nigerian nairas, Lagos Project. Femi's brows furrowed. These weren't tithes, they were transactions. It wasn't a church ledger, it was blackmail. Before his death, Reverend Matthew Aini had been a legend. Born in Ibadan, he rose from a modest background to become one of Lagos' most celebrated pastors. His sermons drew crowds that filled stadiums. His charity fed orphans, built hospitals, and clothed the poor. He preached about honesty, humility, and holiness. Yet behind his radiant smile lay a man who wielded influence like a blade. He dined with governors, counseled senators, and laid hands on men whose hands were stained with blood. His parishioners believed he could perform miracles. His enemies knew he could destroy them. The ledger, detectives soon realized, was not just a list of payments. It was a record of secrets. Men who came to confess sins and paid him to keep them buried. Her name was Joy Okon, 28, quiet, diligent, and fiercely loyal. For 5 years, she had served as Reverend Aini's personal assistant. She managed his calendar, recorded his sermons, and handled his correspondence. But 2 days before the Reverend's death, Joy vanished. Her cousin, Ifeoma, told police she received a strange message from Joy the night before she disappeared. "If anything happens to me," the text read, "it's because of the ledger." Her apartment was found unlocked. Her phone was gone. On her dressing table sat a small wooden cross, broken clean in half. To Detective Femi, Joy wasn't just missing. She was the key to everything. Days later, investigators discovered a hidden compartment behind a large golden crucifix in the Reverend's office. Inside were flash drives neatly labeled by year. The files were recordings, meetings, confessions, deals. Powerful men sat across from Reverend Aini, heads bowed, as he prayed for them, and recorded every word. "You promised this would stay between us, Reverend." "It will, my son," Aini's voice replied, calm and confident. "But forgiveness comes with a price." Each man in those recordings had something to lose: an election, a contract, a family. And each had something to hide. The church was not merely a sanctuary. It was an empire of secrets. Once word of the ledger leaked, chaos erupted. Politicians denied everything. Newspapers ran headlines screaming, "Pastor or puppeteer?" Within days, 2 of the names in the ledger fled Nigeria. Another, a wealthy contractor, was found drowned in his swimming pool. The church board called emergency meetings. The congregation wept. Some believed their pastor had been martyred for righteousness. Others whispered that judgment had finally found him. Detective Femi worked in silence. Every lead was obstructed. Files disappeared from evidence. His superior officers warned him to let it go, but Femi couldn't. Something about the Reverend's death, the precision, the secrecy, told him it wasn't random. It was execution. Reverend Ayini's only son, Daniel, returned from London 3 weeks later. He was quiet, pale, and grief-stricken. When he met Femi, he carried a small envelope, its edges sealed with wax. "My father sent this to me," he said. It arrived 2 days before he died. Inside was a flash drive and a note written in his father's hand. "Daniel, if I do not see you again, tell the truth. I built a kingdom in God's name, but the throne was theirs. They used my voice, and when I tried to stop them, they silenced me." The drive contained scanned pages of the ledger and one final recording. Reverend Ayini's voice trembled as he spoke. "I have made mistakes. I thought I could purify power by bringing it into the church. But power does not purify, corrupts. If they kill me, Daniel, it will be one of them, one of the men I helped to become kings." The names were clear. 2 senators, 1 governor, a business magnate. Within 48 hours, 2 of them boarded private jets out of the country. The case exploded across national news. Social media turned the Reverend into both saint and sinner. The EFCC, under public pressure, reopened dormant corruption files. Interpol got involved. Bank records matched payments from the ledger almost line for line. The evidence was overwhelming, but justice, as always, was selective. Low-level aides were arrested. Secretaries testified. But the powerful men behind the curtain remained untouched. Detective Femi was reassigned before he could finish his report. The ledger was sealed as classified evidence. And just like that, the storm went silent. Holy Covenant Assembly shut its doors 6 months later. The once sparkling chandeliers hung dull with dust. The pulpit stood empty, wrapped in yellow police tape. Former members gathered outside every Sunday, praying in the open rain. Some begged for forgiveness. Others cursed the name of the man they once adored. Rumors spread that the ledger had vanished from police custody. Others claimed it was hidden, kept safe by Daniel Ayini somewhere abroad. But no one knew the truth. Years later, when a journalist visited the abandoned church, Reverend Ayini's office was still sealed. Inside, dust settled over the desk, the open Bible still frozen at Psalm 23. "Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." The small brown ledger lay beside it, untouched. Its pages, once a map of power and greed, now whispered only silence. In the dim light, it almost looked like scripture, a testimony not of faith but of fear. No one was ever charged with Reverend Ayini's murder. The governor he accused was re-elected the following year. The church was rebuilt under a new name, and somewhere in London, Daniel Ayini attends Mass quietly each Sunday, carrying a worn leather notebook in his coat pocket. He never opens it, but sometimes, when the choir sings and the organ hums, he swears he can still hear his father's voice. Calm, deep, and broken. "Power is never holy, my son, not even when it wears a cross."